This meeting is being recorded.
Got it.
Got it?
Got it.
Don't say anything you don't want your mum to hear. So we're here for an evening with, well, a quick hour probably, with Hugh Radford from Guardian Pest Control. But I think a lot of the pest controllers will know you through Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably. Yeah, there's not many that don't.
So rather than me steal your thunder, why don't you give us a run through of what happened, how it came about, all that?
What Facebook as such?
I was thinking more. Well, I think the one thing I'd love to know is you're obviously like probably one of the main admins. Oh, I don't know. I'm guessing you're one of the main admins for
UK pest controllers.
Yeah. How that came about, really, and I would love to know how you see it from an admin's point of view, and when you've seen people use it for the positive and when you've seen people use it for negative. I don't care if you name people, it doesn't bother us. Some people do, some people don't. Whatever you think is appropriate is appropriate. I'm not going to hold back in any way, shape or form.
I suppose really many people don't, or many pest controllers now don't remember a time before Facebook. And actually before Facebook came about and the pest control, all of the different, there's probably 5 pest control Facebook pages. But way before that, there were things known as forums. And there still probably are forums out there. And that's really where it all started, in that when you first got your computer, I don't know, I did, being a bit sad, looked for pest control forums. And back in the day, as it were, the only ones that were available to you were American ones. So I joined an American pest control forum, and they became the International Pest Controller Operators Network back then. Bit of an acronym and a bit of a nothing thing, really. But that's how the forum got known. And it was just exactly the same as Facebook is now. It was just a nice place to watch. It worked. Watch what people had to say. You could ask advice, even though they were American. It was just it was a good place to ask questions. That went slightly wrong, that particular page, because there was a certain individual back then, nobody would remember who it is, but there's an American magazine called PCO, I think it's called. And there was a defamation case in America because one of the guys went over the top on someone else, and there was all sorts of hit the fan, as it were, people slagging each other off. Anyway, and so I can't remember how it all came about. Somebody started a UK forum. And it sort of went on from there, and there were various different incarnations of those forums.
What year are we talking about now, Hugh?
I would say 23 years ago, 23 years-ish. Back in the days of the tiny computer. I don't know if you can remember tiny computers. So it must have been there, because that was the first computer I ever got. So there was a company called Tiny. So yeah, I would say not long after I started on my own. And then the UK pest control, different various ones, forums started. And again, there were some absolutely great characters that are on the forums now that were willing to give and share information. It was a lot harder back then because photos had to go through something called Photo Bucket. You had to upload them and then put a link on it to show photos, and it was all a lot harder. And you would get there were a lot stricter noob rules on forums, which you don't get on Facebook any longer.
Like what? Give us some rules.
Don't ask a question that's been previously asked on the forum without actually searching for it first and seeing if it's been actually answered, because that would be considered to be lazy. You couldn't be bothered to actually research a subject. So I don't know. Why is FICAMD being withdrawn? Rather than just going on there and just going, why is FICAMD being withdrawn? You would actually have to search the forum first to see if somebody else has previously asked for that.
And did they get a slagging, or was the post just not allowed? All right. Right. Bad.
Yeah. Just wouldn't get an answer. The only answer you would get was like, look back, do your research. And that was it. You know, because it was just seen as being almost like nobody. It still happens now, really, that people don't, because they haven't got the patience, or they haven't got they don't want to research it. They just want the answer. It's all about that attention.
It's Google.
It's that attention span. I want to know, and I want to know now. Yeah. You know, I don't want to look back, and I don't want to read anything. I just want the answer.
Yeah.
So that wasn't just on a pest control forum. That was just forums on the whole, whether it was about Fiat cars or electrics or anything. And of course, there was always the capital letter thing about, you know, that meant that you were shouting at somebody, and that would immediately be, you know, you'd be slagged off. Don't you raise your voice at me. That was a common one.
Well, because you'd wrote in capitals, that was shouting at someone. Yeah. Oh, never.
Oh yeah, that was like the cardinal sin. Absolutely, yeah. You know, typing in capitals was just seen like you were just yelling at somebody and being rude. What would be another one? Overtaking somebody's thread. So you had threads and strings. So like the thread would be the question, and then the string off of it would be the answers. Because don't forget this, it was like a notice board. Have you ever seen one? A forum?
You know, I think 2000, I probably was first. Yeah, I probably got into social media via Facebook in around about 2007, so I was probably 5-6 years later. But I used to go on the hunting life a little bit, but it was just filled with aunties posing as things, asking silly questions, and within about 10 minutes I just logged off because I could see where it was going. I don't know if it's the same now. I never went back on it. So I know what you mean, but yeah, so you got bollocked for taking over someone's thread.
Yes, so you couldn't, like, somebody would ask a question and then you would have the string answers down below, and then you couldn't then jump in and take it off on a tangent. You'd had to stick to the topic, or start when you know, because basically it wasn't like Facebook. You could look down through the list of subjects and you can actually pick a subject out that you wanted to know and look up that thread, as it were,
like a library.
Yeah, a little bit. So they were the main rules anyway, and that's how it's all started, really, I suppose. And then you had you know, you had various ones that came up all the way through time, and then there was the UK Pest Control Group. Was that the acronym that Andy started, and Dennis, and they were going to be which went off on but that was slightly different because that was going to be another organization.
What, like MPTA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I will get Stan corrected on that one because I can't quite remember the acronym for it and what it was because I didn't have anything to do with it. But they were going to go off on their own, which was, brave of them. And at the time, it was going places. They actually had, quite a bit of oomph, but Andy's better to talk about that and how that got disbanded as such. And again, at the time, it was PCP, Pest Control Portal, was the biggest one. And there were some great characters on there. There really was. And very helpful people as well. And then Facebook started and off it went. And obviously there were various different ones. And Andy started UK Pest Controllers, which was the one that I started following. And one day I said, or texted him or messaged him and said, did you want a hand just being admin? And he was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. That's where it took off, really.
Right. So go on then, talk. So inception started off, people started joining. When was that?
I don't know how long I've been admin, maybe 3 or 4 years now.
Okay. Right.
I mean, I saw it really as when I started in pest control on my own.
Yeah.
There was no real internet, and I was lucky to have a good friend that used to be my manager when I worked for Rentokil. And he didn't live too far away. And, at times you would get a bit down because people don't think it is, but being a self-employed sole trader can be quite a lonely place. As we said the other day, customers are your friends, are friendly. You can be friendly to your customers, but they're not your friends. You can't talk to them. And you tend to make friends at work, don't you? When you're at work and you work in an office or work in a factory, you've got friends that you gravitate towards and you've got friends. Whereas if you're a sole trader, there's not many people you can talk to. Certainly about your job, there's no supervisor, there's no manager, there's nobody else that you work with that you can talk to. And I thought that UK Pest Controllers and luckily Andy allowed me to be admin, could be a place where you could do that. Because I had this friend and I could always ring him and say, John, what do you think about this? I knew the answer most of the time, but you just wanted him to say, yeah, that's the right answer. Or, no, you're being a dick. That's crazy. What are you doing it that way for? And that's the way that I sort of thought that I could lighten it up a bit and be there, UK Pest Controllers or that particular Facebook page with Andy's permission could be like that, a bit of fun, somewhere where somebody can ask a question and hopefully not be derided and feel like they've got somewhere to turn to.
I think it's too easy for people to stop posting and stop asking questions when that negativity comes out. I consider myself to be quite a thick-skinned individual, and after a while I sort of stopped because I just thought, do you know what it is like, but then you think actually, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been Mel Ayano or I think it was someone. I can't remember the exact post, but it was on them lines, and she said, you have to remember the silent majority thoroughly enjoy and are listening and are absorbing. You have to remember that the negativity only comes from a very small percentage, but they are a very vocal small percentage, aren't they, that negativity? So, and again, there's probably a difficult line to be tread, isn't there, with not allowing someone to make a terrible mistake and And sometimes the message gets lost in typing, especially if you're in capital letters. Do you know what I mean? But yeah. So go on then. What have you seen good, or how have you seen people use it to its maximum potential, and how have you seen people use it to its absolute detriment?
I think personally, UK pest controllers or certainly I try not to let anybody bully anybody else. There was something recently, and I was just like, calm it down, guys. You know, there's no need. People are trying to help. They're genuinely trying to help. The problem is in text, people forget that when you're writing in text, you don't get that. You can't see somebody's face. Yeah. You can't see how that interaction is taking place. And there's no point just saying, oh, no shit, Sherlock, because that's just detrimental to everybody. You know, people are genuinely trying to help. Very rarely will people, hopefully, on the whole, people want to help other people, you know. So I think for the good, I generally think that there are a lot of people out there that are willing to spread or help information, give information. Of course, there are people that think, and I don't blame them, because I sometimes feel a bit like that myself. It's a bit like, no, I've learned this the hard way. I'm not going to easily give over the information that I researched very hard to get. So there are perhaps people regard them as trade secrets that they don't want to give away, but others are really happy to help. I've been helped considerably by some people, you know. I don't shy away from that, and I would like to think that I've helped others quite a bit. What's good about it? I hope it gives people a little bit of a chuckle. I try to find the silly little cartoons, so it's not just about a job or something like that. You can wake up in the morning and think, oh yeah, and just have a chuckle. I hope that people feel that it's free to ask questions. When I personally post questions, they're not always questions that I don't know the answer to. It's more of a question to try to get people thinking and talking to each other. Bad side. Condescending people.
Yeah, I can come across like that at times, and I genuinely don't mean to.
Again, the bad sides, condescending answers, stupid questions, maybe, which are very few and far between. But is there a stupid question?
You don't know, do you?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, do you?
No, that's the thing. You know, people do say, "Oh, Jesus Christ, don't you?" So there are other forums or Facebook pages that specifically say you have to be a level 2 to get onto them. Whereas our criteria is that really you need to be involved in pest control, and perhaps probably have a qualification or be aiming to get to a qualification. I don't want to speak for Andy, but it's not a hunting, shooting and fishing Facebook page. There are other ones out there for that. So it's not really for gamekeepers and hobby rat shooters. And that's not being derogatory to them. But there are or small holders or people that want to do DIY pest control. There are other forums for that, Facebook pages for that. But on the whole, except for when it ends up as a slanging match, there aren't that many negative points.
I think, I don't know if you feel this, but I genuinely feel like that negative minority is almost starting to be drowned out now. I don't think it, and it might be me saying it differently, but I certainly don't feel like it is as bad as it was 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. I just don't think it is. I think there's less people willing to come on there and behave like that. And we're on a couple of other pages not connected to pest control directly, and I look at them and I think, like, you know, they're probably not as far on as you are. I don't think.
We do try. We do try quite hard to we check people out before they join.
Right.
Basically, if there's 3 basic joining questions. Quite honestly, if you can't to fill out 3 questions, then you're not going to bring anything to the party, are you?
Yeah.
You're not going to be, if you can't be bothered to just say why you want to join, are you actually going to be that helpful to other people, you know, and interact? Because, you know, there's plenty of what they call lurkers just sitting and watching, which is fine, you know, if that's what you want to do and you don't want to. I mean, obviously not knocking any suppliers at all, because there's loads of suppliers on there, but of course they lurk and watch what's going on, because that's a different aspect whereby they've obviously got to may have to toe a company line or give a certain image, so you don't expect them to interact in the day-to-day as such, but you would like to think that anybody else that joins, I mean, there's 3,000 members, right, and then but there's probably what 30 people that actually interact with each other, maybe 40 out of 3,000. You know, that's crazy, really. But the hardest thing on running a Facebook page, I don't know if anybody else, well, there are other people out there that do it, is deleting people.
Why is that hard?
Because it takes a lot of clicking when you want to delete 1,000 people that haven't interacted for the last 3 years. You got to individually click on them.
Right.
So really, it would be nice just to say, has anybody interacted within the last year? No, delete them.
Right, I get you, like a blanket delete, so yeah.
But you can't do that.
Right.
So, because this, you know, again, people, all sounds very sad, but people judge on how many members there are. There's no point in having 10,000 people on, you know, in a football team if there's only 10 people playing. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I've you know, I think that's true for business, isn't it? Not everyone's your customer, or you know, you're better off having the right ones than having a load of wrong ones, aren't you?
Yeah, and you know, there are, again, I've got to say it, on the whole, there are some, I think there are some great characters and great people that are prepared to give up the time and go out of the way to help people. I mean, when we ran the mentor scheme,
yeah,
there's a mentor scheme there. If people actually wanted to take anybody up on it, I mean, what a great. I'm not knocking. I'm not knocking any of the associations, but you can't get an MPTA member, mentor, or BPCA mentor, as far as I know, that you can pick up the phone to while you're on a job and go, "Oi, mate, I've got this problem.
Yeah.
What can I do? I mean, if you look at the mentors on UK pest controllers, there's some seriously, you'd have to pay a lot of money to have that sort of backup behind you. Maybe people aren't aware of that, but yeah, I think that's good. I mean, personally, I've uploaded nearly all of the files that I've got, SPI, identification sheets, colored photos. If you look in the file section, there's tons there.
I didn't know that.
No,
Yeah,
no, there. If lots of people don't realize on a Facebook page, there's a file section.
And where
You
did you
scroll
find that?
along the top line, there's a file section.
Mhm.
And I put PDFs up for wasp nest treatment signs.
Let's not mention that.
July 2025.
Oh, yeah. There's some sad old faces walking around now, isn't there? It's going to happen right in the middle of us. Let's not mention that.
You know those cement trucks that you see going by with.
Let's not mention
big,
that.
No,
yeah.
okay.
Let's not mention that.
Big tankers.
Pablo Escobar is turning from cocaine to 5-cam D. Reckons there's a growing. It's going to be a massive market for it.
It's going to be bad.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I'll be near retirement. Nearer retirement.
Nearer. There's loads left in you yet, young man. So the question has to be then: someone starting out in pest control comes on, or someone is in pest control and comes onto the UK pest controllers. What advice would you give them?
Please introduce yourself. Don't just go, thanks for the ad. Say, my name is Hugh Radford. I come from Somerset. I'm starting out in pest control. I'd thank you for accepting me on the forum. Look forward to interacting with you. Easy as that. The other thing that I would suggest that nobody does, personally, is my one pet hate, is when pest controllers try to, not suppliers, but pest controllers try to advertise to other pest controllers. There is no point in going onto a Facebook page that is specifically aimed for pest controllers and saying, hi, my name's Hugh Radford. I'm a pest controller. If you have any requirements, please give me a call. If everybody did that, we'd have 3,000 people every day posting it. There's no point. Unless you've got something specifically different, you know, if you do perhaps, if you would say different, if you did deer control, you know, and you said, hi, my name is Freddie Jim. I do deer control in Lancashire. If any of our customers need deer control, please consider what I have to do, what I do. Because that's out of, you know, there's no point in saying, my name's Hugh Radford. I live in Somerset. I work in Somerset. If any of your customers have a rat problem, please get them to give me a call. Nobody's going to do that, are they?
Yeah.
You know, and it's just crazy. All you're trying to do is bang up your website and get a link and get people sharing your link. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, agreed. Of course, if you're not admin, you don't see all these posts coming. You don't pick up on it, you know. But where we
must get at least, I know there's 2 people a day that just can't be bothered to fill in the joining questions. Maybe sometimes 6 people a day. And just because you've got, I don't know, it's only because I've got a bottle in front of me, Tamiya Pest Control in front, you know, I'm Tamiya Pest Control. Doesn't mean to say that you're going to get automatically admitted. Answer the questions honestly. And this sounds so Facebook police, but there's a lot of people that want to put us down out there. So you've got to be a little bit careful who you let join in. You don't want antis joining. You don't want potential just people bumming for information. I got a rat in the kitchen. What can I do about it? So we do vet them. And if you can't be bothered to answer the questions,
don't bother.
Don't bother.
So give a quick run through of how you started in pest control and where you've ended up.
So I started in about 87. I've only ever had 2 jobs. I worked in a local factory.
You must have been about 43 when you started, were you?
So I worked in a local factory as a building labourer. And the milk quotas hit, and it was a milk factory, believe it or not. Shut the factory and saw a job going for Rentokil. I thought, I'd go for that. Went for it, and I was the only guy that turned up in a suit for the job, and they gave me the job. And I got made redundant on the Friday and started with Rentokil on the Monday. And I was a technician for them. And I have to big them up. Back then, they were the best trainers that you could ever dream of.
Really?
Yeah, you did your 6 weeks initial training, 1 week with each of their service trainers, which were just technicians, but the ones that they chose, each week was broken down into sections of what you would learn. At the end of each week, you would do an exam on that particular subject. If you passed, you went on to the next week. If you failed, you'd do another week. At the end of 6 weeks, you would take your final exam. If you passed, you got the job. And if you failed, you'd be sent back for training again.
Right.
And you'd spend that 6 weeks out with a technician every day.
It must affect in a major way the way that you work now, because I'm conscious we had a totally different introduction into this, and I've met several pest controllers who started a Rentokil and went off on their own, and it's clear to see that initial learning is ingrained into you, isn't it?
It was. I'm not saying it is now, but it was.
Right.
Back then, if you opened the yellow pages, that's all you had, you would probably see 3 pest control companies, maybe 4. Rentokil was like the only pest control company. There was
pages.
In the yellow pages, in our yellow pages for our area, which is Taunton Dean. If you open to the page on pest control, you would have half a page. You would have maybe 4, maybe 6 pest control companies. That's all there would be.
Mm-hmm.
So Rentokil had very little competition at all. Anyway, so after 6 months, you would go on your service training course. You would get sent to Fell Court, which was their training centre, beautiful old house, like a hotel, and you'd be sent up there for a week. And you were put into practice and go back through everything that you'd already learned, but you had that 6 months worth of actual field experience.
Yeah.
So everything then dropped into it just dropped into place. Because when you do your initial training, everything's snowing in on you, and it's like, what the? But after 6 months, you think, oh yeah, that's why I did that. Oh yeah, that's why I did that. And then Off you go again. After 1 year, they would ask you if you wanted to become a senior technician. And again, you would go back through all of that again, but in more detail. So I can't not Rentokil for that. Really can't.
I've got to be
after,
honest with you. I see them get slated left, right, and centre. I don't think they're a bad firm. I think people don't understand that they're playing in a different sandpit to everyone else. You know, I think that's the only difference. They expect Rentokil to play on the same terms and the same conditions that the one-man band down the road is playing on, and it's just a whole different ball game. And I think
bigger
they
cogs,
understand their customers' needs, don't they? Yeah, and their
more,
customers' needs aren't just get rid of the rats. Their customers' needs are: we want this, we want that, we want paperwork, we want this, we want, you know, they want
bigger cogs, more
Yeah.
cogs, more money.
Yeah,
And although we've gone off on a tangent, and I hope that's okay with everybody, but what you've got to remember is, like Rentokil, where did the Rentokil library come from? I don't know if everybody knows about the Rentokil library.
I don't.
All the books.
Yeah, I don't
So
know.
you got the Cockroach 1, Volume 2. You got Rats and Mice, Social Wasps, Pest Control in Buildings, Hygiene in Buildings, Wood Boring Insects, the effects on timber decay. Well, all those books. I mean, there's a block of books like this, and they're all reference books. They didn't get written for free.
Yeah.
You know, they're all out there. People can buy them. You know, they didn't get all research and development. You can't like Church Farm and places like that, or Fell Court. That stuff doesn't come from free. Deadline paste, deadline rodenticide, insectaban, all of those things that we buy, they don't come for free.
Yeah.
It's all a cost. And if they're not charging the customer, or they're not charging the production, you know, when you buy it, who's paying for it all? There's a lot bigger cogs.
Yeah, I just keep looking at them thinking, when you look at Rentokil, there's probably a million lessons you could pick up through watching them. 5 of them might be negative, and the rest would probably be positive. But Alex said something the other day about it, actually, and he said, you know why people are always negative, you know, like on the forums and stuff like that now? And I was like, because some of them are just dicks. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was my thought process. He said, no, he said, it's a natural reaction. It's like within everyone and everything, that when you walk into that environment, you are looking for the dangers. It's inherently built into you. And I think that's what happens when people look at Rento. They look at them and they go, you know, they've done this, they've done that, and that was really bad. And I think, but if you actually looked at what went into them being there, they've done a million things incredibly well. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't concentrate on that. Stop concentrating on the bit that you're doing better. Concentrate on the bit that you're not doing as good. Do you know what I mean? That's my thought process.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I guess if I was Rentokil and all my competitors were concentrating on that one area whilst we were bossing all the others, I would sit there thinking, with a smile on my face, thinking, go on, keep going, because you'll never catch us with that mentality. You know, you'll never take our good work off us with that. But yeah, it is a bit of a tangent, that, isn't it? A bit of a rabbit hole.
I've got loads more to say about that. But anyway, so then
say it, because
I'll get through the other bit, and then I'll go back to Rentokil again. So then after a while, I was a technician for, I don't know, 7-8 years. And then they said, do you want to be a supervisor? I was like, not really. But you know what it's like once, you know, you get that thought, could be a supervisor. Might be a service manager one day. Might be a branch manager one day. And they said, do you want to be a supervisor? And I was like, yeah. Anyway, I went for the interview and I got it. And I was then supervisor in Plymouth. And I did Devon and the Channel Islands. So yeah, 6 technicians in Devon and a couple on the Channel Islands, and that was a nightmare. And then something happened, and then it was Devon and Cornwall and the Channel Islands, and then basically it's going to bore everybody to death, to be honest. I bent over the barbecue and prolapsed 2 of the discs right in the base of my spine, and had to have spine surgery and Rentokil. And cut a very long story short, they released me from my employment. I had spine surgery. It worked. Didn't know what I was going to do. So I started on my own.
Right.
And then 10 years later, had another accident. Won't go into it.
Go into it. Whenever you say that, I think that's the interesting bit. What happened? What did you do 10 years later?
So I thought I was going to get fit, and I took up Tai Chi. And
Don't you drink that?
say again?
Don't you drink that?
What? Tai Chi? Tai Chi?
Yeah, what is
Tai
it?
Chi. What?
Tai Chi.
Tai Chi.
Yeah.
And I damaged both of an accident. It's not quite as an accident sounds spectacular, and it wasn't. I didn't exercise, and I damaged both of my Achilles tendons. And as a result, I had to sit down for a long time, and one of the muscles in the back of my there's something called your piriformis muscle, and it went into spasm, and I lost the feelings in my legs, and I couldn't walk. So luckily, unluckily, got to say this because you're probably going to listen to this. My wonderful son Ryan was at university, and I said, "Son, could you come back and help me, please? Our customers are ringing me up, and I can't walk." And he's like, "Yeah, I'll do that." And he left uni and he came back, and he was 17, wow. And he couldn't drive. My dad, who was then 70, said, "I'll give you a hand, son. I'll drive him around." And so they paired up. And because Ryan had been with me, all the time, I've got pictures of him, like your boy, out in the van with me with his Guardian Pest Control shirt on and everything. And he's always been around with me. Going back to a different question that you asked, had I done it before? No, I hadn't, but he had. Yeah. And he kept it running. And he kept it running until I learned, my dad driving him around. And then he learned to drive, and it was like, "Off you go then, son, there's the van." And he kept it running until I learned to walk again.
Wow.
And then we said, what can I say? Back to uni, sunshine.
Here's the question, though, because I see this a lot. One-man bands probably want to grow and can't get over that hurdle. And I genuinely believe it's because they can't go back over for a short period of time. They can't take the knock. They've learned to make money, to be profitable. To take someone on and pay the wages, it sends you back down and it hurts them and all that. Had you not had that accident, had you not been forced to having Ryan on board with you, do you think you would have maintained your business as a one-man band? Or do you think it was the push that turned you into having a couple of employees?
It was the push.
Was it?
Yeah, I'd have stayed. If I'd been healthy and okay, I'd have just stayed as I was. I'd have never dreamed of taking anybody on, ever.
Why?
Fear.
Yeah.
The fear of what might happen, because other things had happened in the past. And for me, it's a bit personal, this one, but every 10 years, something goes wrong. I had spine surgery. 10 years later, everything's going hunky-dory, and something else goes wrong. And it was, when I was 17, it's a bit personal, but I nearly didn't walk again then because something that happened back then.
When he's asking what, is that just definitely not?
I had a bone cyst in my femur. So, and I had to have surgery on it 3 times, and they said if this doesn't work, you just won't walk again. You'll be in a wheelchair. So it was just like pessimism, Anyway, so Ryan came on board, and then I said to eventually I got better and said to we sort of got to a position, and I said, do you want to go back to uni? And he's like, nah. And I said, should we try to give it a go between us? And he's like, yeah, all right then. So
make your relationship better or worse? He's watching. Be honest. Be honest.
We can't go out together anymore.
Right.
Because I annoy him.
Yeah.
But relationship better or worse? Oh, better.
Really?
Yeah, speak every day. We have to speak every day. He's forced to speak every day.
Yeah, but I guess my little boy's 7, and I guess from a dad's point of view, and I'm projecting myself forward, to see that young man step up and to see that level of growth over that time must be absolutely lump in your throat stuff, is it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I guess as well for him to come back and for him to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it for your family, and what you've put into it and all that, he must also have a level of respect for you that, I don't know, probably kids who don't go and work with a dad maybe don't always get to see, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely. We speak every day, and yeah, boy, we fall out.
Do you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Phone down on each other time.
Oh, never.
There's something happened the other day. There was customers being a right, and he was just, and I said something. And it was like,
really?
Well, because if you're a service, it's a bit grandiose, that service controller. There's only 3 of us, but you've got nobody to take that. Customer vents at you. Who do you vent at? You vent at the person that gave you the work in the first place. Why did you send me to that stupid?
Yeah.
If she was nasty on the phone, why did you go sending me? And it's like, and then 10 minutes later, phone up and go, yeah, well, I was a bit over the top there, wasn't I? And me too. And I do it all the time because I'm a nagger.
Oh yeah.
I'm a nagger. Have you cleaned your van? Have you phoned this? Have you phoned that? So I am a nagger. Yeah, I can do it because he's my son. I can't do it. Well,
so do you
watch out to the other.
Differently?
Say again?
Do you treat them differently to the other lads who work and have worked for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course
for
you
the
do.
better or for the worse, or for just indifferent, or
For
what?
the worse.
Right. I ask because it might come my way in the future, and you think it's always better to learn through someone else's mistake.
No, you better ask him, but not for the worse. I don't think for the worse, but differently. But because going further down the line, what you got to remember, Ryan's, we're half and half now.
Right.
It's not my business.
Yeah.
It's half mine and half Ryan's.
Yeah.
So, although the business is half and half, I'm still his dad.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but do I treat? Yeah, I do treat him differently. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would say. So anyway, we just carried on like that for a few years, and because there was 2 of us, we just naturally grew because you just do because you can take on more work, and you can take on more work, and yeah, you just do get more and more. And then something else happened, and I had to have knee surgery, and
10 years later, you had knee surgery.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, I've had both my knees replaced now.
Right.
So then we advertised for somebody, I mean, we're not big. Don't get me wrong. We're never. The thing is, never had any ambition to be a big company or a millionaire. It was just because we had to keep going. Because I had to keep going. That's all it was, and keep everybody happy. We advertised for people, didn't get anybody. Bunch of wasters. Another chap was retiring, decided he didn't want to retire. Lovely guy, came and worked with us. Then decided that he did want to retire. He retired. Oh no. In the meantime, we took somebody else on who used to work for the guy that was going to retire doing pest control. We won't go into that one.
Did that go bad, like?
Not for us. No, it did for someone else. No, they were great. And then what happened? That one left. Then we took on somebody, and then luckily we took on another guy that worked for the other guy, who's absolutely fantastic.
Neil.
Yes.
Yeah, speak highly of him, don't you?
Yeah. And then we took on Ross to replace another guy, and we are where we are now. And
so go on then. What's biggest bits? Not one bit of advice, and biggest bits of advice you'd give for anyone in business and pest control, whatever you see fit. Now, the stuff you wish you'd been told earlier on in your life.
As far as pest control goes, or business goes, always charge as if you are employing somebody else. Don't just think, well, it's only me, I can do it for a $5 an hour. Do it as if you're actually employing somebody, because one day, all being well, you will be. And then you'll be looking at that job and thinking, shit, that's not quite so good, is it? You know?
Yeah.
So, and that was that bit of him, that gold nugget was given to me by going all the way back to the beginning of the conversation by the guy that the manager that was friends with me, that used to help me out, that was friends, and we used to talk. And he said, Hugh, always remember, charge it out like you're paying somebody else out to do it.
Yeah, do you know, pricing's one of them funny ones, isn't it? I've never really spoke to someone who came up with their own pricing strategy. It's nearly always something that you pick up from someone else. We have a very set, very definite pricing strategy on what we do. I got that off someone else. Do you know what I mean? Like, he sat down, he went through it with us, he explained what I was looking at, light bulb moment, exact, and same advice as you got, like, this is where you're at, this is what you're costing, this is, and he just went through it. So yeah, the costs and prices, and that's a whole different conversation, isn't it? A big one.
That's a Friday night conversation, that one.
Well, yeah, let's quickly discuss that then. Friday nights, you're quite instrumental in that.
No, not at all. Alex was the man, most definitely.
Yeah. Did that come about through UK pest controllers? Okay, it was just advertised on there.
Yeah. Alex advertised it, thought of it. It was all of his own making, and it's advertised on all of the different forums, Facebook pages. That was a great idea, and I would never have thought of that, because I don't like really seeing people and people seeing me. But the more you do it, the more you get used to it. And that's great. I think it's a great thing. Really do. Really.
It's helped me.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, it's helped me massively.
People say about your Facebook friends, but I've made some great friends, and there are people. Ian, met Alex for the first time at a course a few months ago. Yourself.
We've never met in person, have we?
That's what I was going to say. There's people that I've been Facebook friends, and I've never even met them, but I regard them as my friends. And
Yeah.
people say that's sad. But you know when you're going to gel with somebody and when you're not going to gel with somebody.
Yeah.
You know, and plenty of Facebook friends or forum friends have helped me tremendously, given us work, passed over work. We have a local Facebook page for pest controllers.
Wow.
That's just our area, whereby we can be a bit careful, warn each other, perhaps.
Yeah.
Discuss that you may not get cooperation. So yeah, as long as you use Facebook for the good rather than the bitchy bad, yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I think the Friday night thing, I get why people don't come on it. It's Friday night, they've done a week's work, but in the same breath, I think to myself, it's putting the roof over your head. You know, this job is putting the roof over your head. It's putting the food in your kids' mouths. If you just sit there and listen and you pick up one thing that may help you in your job tomorrow be better than the next guy, like, why are you not here? You know, like, or even worse, you're not in a conversation where you could have helped somebody who needed that help. You know, how many people have been on there who are like, I'm thinking of going on my own, or I've started out, and it's just a journey, isn't it? And whatever anybody wants to say, you think you're inventing the wheel when you start off on your own, but the longer you go into it, the more you see that everyone does exactly the same journey with regards to pricing, with regards to customers, with regards to it is exactly the same journey for everyone, and you get access to people who have done that, who are on that journey before you and after you. You know, I think it's a brilliant thing.
Again, you know, I bang on it about enough, and you know, I've done it quite a long time. And you think you know everything, but you seriously don't, because people that are coming into the industry now, not now, but have been there a couple of years, they look at things in a different way.
Yeah.
You can be so set in what you think that somebody coming into it anew says, well, why'd you do it like that? Because we've always done it like that.
Worst answer in the world, that net.
I know, and you think to yourself,
everyone says it.
Why do we do it like that? Why do we do it like that? You know, and you think, yeah, no, I was wrong there. And that's the biggest thing about all of it, is you've got to be able to say to yourself, I was wrong. Not wrong, not wrong, but there is another way of doing things.
There's a different approach to this.
There is a different.
The same result, and maybe it's even a better result.
Yeah, you don't have to be wrong, but you have to be able to take in, newer ideas. And with the way, sorry, mate.
No, go on. Yeah, the way
I was just going to say, with the way things that are going, we're going to have to take new ideas. We're going to have to move forward. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Much as I don't want to.
I can't wait. I can't. So for me, from my point of view, you were Rento for years and all that. The system's kind of set up for you guys at the minute. You know, my brain works in a different way to other people's on a day-to-day basis, and it certainly does with regards to pest control. So the fact that there's going to be a massive spanner thrown in the works, I think it's like resetting the clock a bit for me. And I think now I've got my opportunity to outthink you. Do you know what I mean? To outwork you, to outcompete you. I can't wait for it to change. Like, if this is the fallout from FICAM going, imagine what happens when we lose anticoagulants. You know, I can't wait for us to lose anticoagulants.
I'd rather not.
What's going to happen? What's going to? Yeah, but I just think to myself, what's going to happen if we lose them? More customers are going to need us, so your wages are more secure. They're not less secure; they're more secure. And if you try hard and you put your thinking cap on and you really get stuck in, you're going to get this opportunity to level the playing fields a little bit. You're going to get the chance to, and I love it when it goes disruptive. Me, I can't, but I know my brain works different. Most people don't think like that, but I can't wait. I genuinely can't wait. It's exciting, isn't it? And
I
more
don't know.
importantly, had you lost FICAM and ESCOs 20 years ago, you'd have been in trouble. But now, as you say, everyone's sharing information. Come on a Friday night, get on that thing, ask that question. It's available at the click of a button, isn't it?
In all the years that I worked for Rentokil, I worked for them for 10 years. Never did I use a trap. Hadn't even,
Right.
just never used a trap. I've probably done 3, maybe 4 domestic jobs.
In 10 years?
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. I mean, the domestic rat and mouse jobs were just not happening.
Do you know what I find odd about that? You got no domestic jobs, but they had a massive page in the Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
The only place to advertise that had the biggest spot, and you weren't doing domestic work.
No, I can't. Maybe I've got different memories of it, but it was extremely rare that you would get a domestic job. Extremely rare. Where was I going with that? And then, yeah, when I left, we were using, for all those years, we just bang down bait, bang down bait, bang down bait, bang down bait for a rat job, that is. And now it's gone completely full circle. And on domestic jobs, we very rarely use baits. But had it not been for the internet, we would have never have heard of black cat traps, and the way that we use them.
Do you know what it is? I'm going to get shot down for this. I bait most of them.
Right. We rarely bait them.
I do. Don't get us wrong. We do use traps, and I will use them. I don't do as much as I used to. Work-wise, I do a bit more organising and stuff now. But yeah, I just want them dead fast. I want them as possible.
Yeah.
Maybe
we make too much work for ourselves, but I would say.
How many visits are you on as an average for a rat treatment trying to trap them?
3.
Still getting it done in the 3.
We've got one at the moment that's up to 5. We've had another one that's up to 6.
So what's your approach when that happens?
Rechange baits, just time, rechange what we're using on the traps, add another couple different traps in, because let's face it, most sounds a bit simple, most loft jobs or rats in lofts, you'll put down maybe 5, 6 black cats. That's about it. Maybe a couple of snappies, breakbacks. We might start going down, whacking some fens underneath the, if nothing's happening, we might put a camera in, see where they're running, put some fens underneath the installation.
At what point do you just go, I'm putting a couple of sachets in and turning around and walking off?
We give the customer the choice.
Right.
So we'll say to the customer on visit 3, we would say, look, we tried with the traps. What do you want to do? We will go for the rodenticide option, bearing in mind that if they do die where we can't get to them, it's going to smell.
But
if that happens.
So here's a question for you. When you were baiting them in lofts, before you went down the black cat route, how often did you get a bad smell?
A lot.
We're not getting that.
We get tenants because we do quite a lot for letting agents. We get tenants. They sniff something and they're like, we're not staying here. We want to be put up in the hotel down the road for 6 weeks until this smell goes. And yeah, we've had a lot.
I mean, genuinely, how I don't mean how many complaints you're getting off tenants. I mean, like, genuine complaints. How many bad smells are you getting from rat jobs? Were you getting from rat jobs when you poison them? Where you turned on, you went, yeah, there's something dead in here.
Quite a few, I would say. Yeah, not enough to make us change.
Really, touch wood. We're not getting that. We're not getting it. I do send them out a proposal and it has it written in. That's how we deal with it. I put it in the initial proposal, there is a chance of a rat dying within a wall cavity in a void, and if this happens at a chop, we'll try and find the body or cover a mask of smell, and this will be a chargeable service. We are professionals. We have a number of options available to us. These includes traps and poison. If you wish for us to only use one, e.g. traps, then you need to understand that this may increase the number of visits and hence the cost of the job.
Yeah.
And usually when I give them that, they go, what? It's going to cost us more? Yeah. Oh, yeah, kill them. Okay, no bother. Yeah, you run the risk. Yeah, kill them. Yeah, no bother.
Yeah, no, we do give them the option. And most people do are the other way. Maybe it's a north-south thing.
What? And they'll say, no, go for traps.
Oh yeah, no, we don't. No, we don't. No, we don't want them dying in the walls, stinking. Okay, we'll go for traps then. But if we get number three, and they're still not caught, I'm sorry, but it's chargeable after then. Fine.
Really?
9 times out of 10. Maybe.
Wow.
The guys might disagree with me. Maybe 8 times out of 10.
It's funny how you get these like regional variations on, because that's absurd, or maybe it's our approach and might be something subtle that changes things. But yeah, I say to people all the time, and this is my advice to them, I say, very rarely do we get a smell. I won't promise you, and I can make no promises that you won't get one if I poison one. However, I can tell you this year it hasn't really had it. I'll say last year, maybe it's 1 or 2, and those 1 and 2, I knew it was going to happen before it happened. The problem was that bad in the loft that you were never, ever, ever in a month of Sundays clearing up with traps. And you're like, this has gone on too far. At some point, we've got to put a line in the sand and do something. We can go down the trapping route, but on your head be it. And by that point, when it's that bad, they usually put up one for you, do it. I want them done. Yeah.
Oh,
because through the pipe and there's a flood or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? Can you cope with the smell? Yep.
Yeah. No, we've got one at the moment, and Ross is on visit 3, and this thing, we've got black cats down, we got Victor's down, got bloody every single thing that you can think on the traps. They've been turned this way, turned that way. They're directly underneath where it might be dropping through the ceiling, and they're still seeing this rat's tail dipping through the bloody ceiling and through this hole, and then they see the head of it looking down, and he's like, we could go down the rodenticide route, and they're like, nope. Well, we can definitely get it because we can do this. No, not having it. Just, well, it is going to cost you more. They're like, fine, whatever.
Oh no, we don't get that. Every penny's a prisoner up here, mucker. Telling you've got to fight to get it off them up here. But everyone thinks that. Everyone thinks they're in a cheap area, don't they? I guess.
No. Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You speak to them and they go, yeah, I'm in Scotland. Oh, but I'm in the northeast. Yeah, I'm in the northwest. Oh, we're in the Midlands, are tight round there. I'm in Yorkshire, they're tight. Do you know what I mean? Everyone thinks everyone's tight, don't they? They're not going to part with it.
Yeah.
It is what it is, isn't it? Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure.
And you, mate?
How do we end this? I feel like I need to ask you something a little bit motivational for someone coming into the industry.
Well, I hope we haven't bored everybody. I mean, just talking about myself, really. So I hope it wasn't.
I think
if anybody's got this far,
Yeah, do you know what it is? Though? What I think happens is that 3,000 members are on there watching and 40 are contributing. So there's 2,960 who are watching. I think there's a lot of people who watch, are the silent majority, will take something in some way, shape, and form. And we all think, oh, we're pretty boring. None of us believe we are Elon Musk or Bill Gates or, one of these superstars. But it doesn't mean you're not interesting. Do you know what I mean? It genuinely doesn't. Everyone's interesting. It's just that not everyone's famous, other than you can learn from everyone, can't you?
You
So
definitely.
yeah,
The one thing motivational, don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Because for us, if we see somebody putting you down, as long as we can see it quick enough, we'll get shot of it, because there's no need.
yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask. Please do use the mentor scheme if you can, if you want to. The file section's there for everybody to use. There's some great stuff on there. Motivational. Don't know about that one. Seen too many motivational things. Do a bit of a Goggins and stay hard.
I'm a big Goggins fan. Like, I can't lie.
Stay hard.
You'll never beat Boat Crew 2.
Oh.
If anyone's watching this, that's my favorite Goggins story of all stories. I wish I was as tough as him. But I'm not.
He was a pest controller, wasn't he?
For Ecolab, sprayed for cockroaches. He gave up because it was the worst job in the world. But he does on everything. Turn around and say it's not a bad thing if you sprayed for cockroaches. But it was totally done his boxing, didn't it? He went off to be a stone cold killer, didn't he? Like a grade A killer. But yeah,
what a change! What a change!
Yeah, you'll never beat Boat Crew 2. But yeah, so Friday nights, it's this Friday and then every other Friday.
Night, if anybody wants to
leave, it's now every other Sunday, so it's on every week, but a Friday and a Sunday. Yeah.
Big up Alex for sorting it out and helping lots of people out with some really sound information.
Yeah.
Who else can we big up? Don't know really.
Andy Beddoes, he's got to get a shout out.
AB. Yeah. Andy
Andy
Beddoes
Beddoes.
for actually starting it in the first place and allowing me to stick my little nose in.
Who else is admin just used to?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, good.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And he's due for retirement, selling up, going to give up?
I think
is that
so,
right?
Yeah, I believe so.
He'll still be about though, won't he?
Yeah, he can't stop, can you, Andy? Gonna keep it in there. Sell snow to the Eskimos, that one.
Could he? Yeah, good man.
Yeah.
Good man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Hugh.
Okay.
We'll bang it up on,
thanks.
Bang it up on YouTube. And do you know the one thing I love about this more than anything else? And you hit on it. When you said Ryan will be watching this. Here's the crazy thing. Ryan's kids and Ryan's kids' at some point will be watching this going, that was like Grandad Hugh, that was great Grandad Hugh. Like, he was a pest controller, he did this, he did that, he worked for Rent-A-Kill, and and they'll get to see, your kids will get to see that progression. Do you know what I mean? Like, they'll see the traits in Ryan that came from you, and later on, it's just that jigsaw in it. It's every video you do now on this, it's a time capsule for your kids. That's the way I look at it.
Hopefully a good one.
Well, yeah, just wait. How many years have you got till your next 10 year? How many years ago did you get your knees done?
Last one was 2 years ago.
So you got 8 years, and then Ryan's going to have to wrap you up in cotton wool and keep you in the house and not let you drive on that.
I think he already does that, to be honest. And so do the others. I got to big up our guys, Neil and Ross. They look after me well.
Yeah.
They was like, I'll do that for you, Hugh. I'll help you out there. And I was like, I don't want you to.
Yeah.
But no, got to big them up as well.
Okay, mate. It's been lovely speaking to you. Have a lovely evening, and I'll see you tomorrow night, probably.
You look after yourself. Have a good night.
Right, God bless, mate.
Take care.